somewhat live from the Beer to Whiskey Studios, high atop Barley's Tap Room on Washington Street in downtown Greenville, South Carolina. I'm Russ Heaps, and welcome to this episode of Big John and Five. That's where I get my good buddy over here, Big John Richards, to pick a beer from one of Barley's 72 taps. We sniff it, we taste it, we kibitz about it. Sometimes John gives us a little brewery background. Sometimes he talks about brewing, so we get a little history of brewing. And on top of that, we drink a lot of beer. And joining us today, for better or for worse, is the main honcho guy here at Barley's, which is Josh Beebe. He also owns the Trapdoor down in the basement and the Burrow out in the hitherlands of Greenville. But
it's 5 minutes away, Russ.
Yeah, it's actually almost halfway between here and my house.
There you go.
It is.
Yeah, beautiful.
So I mentioned that just because it's nice to have Josh take some time. He's got a lot of shit going on. To take a little time out of his day and come and join us.
I think
to act silly. Act silly and drink some beer. And with that, John, what are we doing here?
We are doing a ruinous pint of Great Divide's Pumpkin Spice Yeti.
I love pumpkin beer. I love Yeti.
I love Great Divide.
I love Great Divide.
Who's wearing Uggs? Nope.
Nope.
I love all of this stuff so far.
So this is super fun. I don't remember, Josh, you may know, I don't remember seeing a pumpkin Yeti before this year. And
I
when
personally
it landed,
have not ever seen one.
I went, oh dear God, I'm ruined. And I have had this beer before today, and it is, I think, the best big pumpkin beer since Pumpkin sold out to Yankee Candle.
I don't know what that means, but I have to say that I had a pint of this on Thursday night, and so I've had it as well. And I think it is an exceptional pumpkin beer.
So it's a big 9.5%er. It's a Yeti. So Great Divide makes that big Imperial Stout every year, and then various and sundry versions of it. There's chocolate Yeti. It used to be an espresso Yeti that was out of this world. And so now we have a pumpkin Yeti. And it's actually really good. It carries a lot of the allspice, nutmeg side of things without getting sweet. Without getting into the weird like cinnamon sugar type of spiciness that a lot of things do. Nothing like Frappuccino sort of sweetness, just big Imperial Stout with these fall flavors, kind of hedging around it. And it was fun because it said that it pairs well with hay rides, pumpkin carving, and leaf peeping.
Leaf peeping.
What the hell is leaf peeping?
We were trying to figure that out.
I don't know.
I think it's when you jump in a pile of leaves and you peep at people walking by before you get hit by that asshole that runs through the leaf pile.
Right.
And you die. So I wouldn't recommend leaf peeping.
Yes.
I'm not a big. I don't think I'm a big leaf peeper.
Nah.
No. Yeah.
I'm going to stay away from leaf peeping myself.
Yeah.
Right.
For all the reasons.
Yes.
Sounds like trouble.
Sounds like a
Well, let's see what we're doing here.
Boy, I have to say, just sniffing that, Teximus Lily, is
so good.
holy cow.
Wow, again, just like the expedition we tried earlier, very roasty, very coffee, very big malt. To me, the pumpkin spice is very subtle.
The pumpkin spice sort of circles around the outside of this thing.
But it is what it is. It should be Yeti forward, right? Which I love. So this, to me, I have fond memories in my career in beer. I've been doing this for almost 20 years.
Yeah.
And there's certain breweries that I have affinities with that I've worked with for that whole career of 20 years. And there's certain beers that have lasted the test of time. And Great Divide is both of those things. And the Great Divide is, so I'm from Australia originally, but my home...
Really?
Believe it or not.
I thought you were from Cleveland.
Funny, yeah. I'm from Boston. I got to get in my car. Let's go for a ride in the car. Anyway, that aside, my home in America was Colorado, and Denver for many years was my home before I got into the beer industry. But Great Divide is a Denver downtown, centrally located brewery that has been a part of my life before I even got into the business. Been to the brewery multiple times, know the owner, Brian, he's a great dude. They got a great culture going on. Everything they do is on point and has been for 20 years. And then they came out with this beer called Yeti, and everyone went bonkers. And that's the beer that really put them on the map. Then, 5 years after that, it was kind of like everyone wanted Yeti. And a lot of people still, there's still those beers that every brewery has for Foothills is Sexual Chocolate,
Right.
for Bell's might be Hop Slam. There's certain beers that are just the hype is there. And Yeti was Great Divides, but they were one of the only breweries to have the foresight of like, well, shit, this only lasts a couple of years before people get onto the next thing, sort of thing. So then they started doing the Yeti variants. So yes, we've had chocolate Yeti, we've had espresso Yeti.
I miss espresso
I
Yeti so
mean,
much.
I've actually got some in there we were looking at bringing out
Oh
for
my
Beer
God.
Fest.
We were back there. We
But
were
anyway.
back there. We could have.
No,
Are they-
I'm talking kegs. I've
I
got
know.
for
I
Beer
know.
Fest
I know.
potentially.
My question is
Thinking about
is Great
doing a
Divide
Yeti
going to be
stuff.
here?
I think we might. We don't have a rep per se for them, so. But part of what we're doing at Beer Fest is going through the cellar and
I
pulling some
know.
beers. One of the things that stood out to me there is that I have a 2011 Espresso Yeti and a 2011 Chocolate Yeti. Thought it might be nice to do a little jockey box setup with the two of those on there.
Yeah.
But that aside, I mean, Brian had the foresight, like I said, to do different variants of Yeti every year. And there's been multiple over the years. So for me to find out that we have a pumpkin Yeti this year, super fun and different. It's nice to see 10, 15 years later that they're still mixing it up, still playing with the beer, and it's still, like I said,
They-
it's not overspiced.
Right.
It's Yeti at the core.
They could have called this Harvest Yeti.
Yeah.
The pumpkin is not forward at all. It's just sort of
Floating
circling around the
But the
periphery
thing
of
is,
this.
so they've
But
got
it's
this
very
great
good.
logo for the Yeti thing where it's just him walking through the woods,
Yeah.
It says "I believe" on the bottom, and it's
Still one of
like-
my favorite T-shirts, and I
It's-
still wear it to this day.
And they have, and before I get where I was going, they do have the greatest beer slogan ever: "Great minds drink alike."
Yep.
So, Pumpkin Spice Yeti has him on the logo with a orange and white scarf around his neck, thrown over his shoulder.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
It's
this
brilliant.
is, and I'm gonna also throw in here, the last time I posted one of the Yeti beers on Facebook and Instagram, one of my goddaughters replied to it that she had just been at Great Divide.
Yeah.
My goddaughter Riley, who makes me ever so proud. This is funny when you take a kid and you sort of expose them to beer. She was not a beer drinker, and I remember trying to coax her into. I think saisons are a good. If you like wine, saison's a good entry way to beer, and I remember that and the whole thing. Now she's all about stouts. She loves stouts, and it makes me feel like I've done some good on
Indeed.
Earth. That
Indeed.
that she is there. But anyway,
But it's funny you say that, Russ, as we were just talking about this the other day, because with the staff shortage in town,
Yeah.
we've got a bunch of new staff, and we're supposed to be the best beer bar in the town and the original, and my staff doesn't know anything about beer, so we're talking about training and going through that. And one of the things we were talking about is that most of our staff 20 years ago were dealing with people coming in and saying, I like Budweiser, give me a Budweiser.
yeah,
Well, we don't sell Budweiser, but we've got this or we've got that. And then I always carried a very easy entry amber ale. For a long
Yes.
time it was Flying Dog Amber. And then we used to call that the transitional beer. So if someone came in and said, I want a Budweiser, it'd be like, I've got Spartan Lager, I've got like New South Lager or whatever it be, an American and a German lager that's going to be, pick between those as your substitutes for Budweiser. But I'd always come in with like, and here's this little amber beer, it's a little,
Yeah.
and they'd taste it. And that was what we referred to as a transitional beer.
Right.
And then that got them into next time was like, hey, try this brown ale. And then next thing you know, after a couple of months, they're like, I want the hoppiest thing you got, or the darkest stout you've got. And it's really, that's beer drinking. So if you can find a level that, if you're a wine drinker and you like a Saison, or if you're like the sours, there's all these different entries now into beer drinking, and find something you like.
Well, one of the saddest things for me is she is now living in Boston. She's a nurse. And
Does she drive a car?
I don't, yes, she has a car.
Yeah, okay.
And I think actually she's driving a Jeep Compass, if that means anything. But I'm disappointed because I don't get to, I don't know when I'll ever get to sit down and really drink beer with her since she's been drinking stouts. I have never gotten to drink beer with her since she has sort of.
That seems sad.
Yes.
It is sad.
And I am so disappointed. The only way it's going to happen is for me to go to Boston, I think.
That was one of the things I always told my kids. I was like, when you decide you want to drink, come find me so I can teach you.
Yeah.
But it's fun. I've just been texting with my daughter down in Athens. She goes to Georgia, and I'm gonna go down and visit them for dinner one night in the next few weeks. But like last year, we went out and she's like, "Dad, beer." I got to teach my daughter about beer, and she same thing. She likes the saisons. She likes the wheat beers. She likes the Berliner Weiss. She likes Athena.
Nice.
From Creatures, and it's fun, but eventually I could see in a couple of years from now sitting around a campfire in the freezing cold in December and drinking a pumpkin Yeti with my daughter.
Yep.
And them appreciating
Does it get any?
it.
Does
No,
it get any
it's
better
fantastic.
than that?
I mean,
It does not get any better than
it really doesn't, and it's beer's a beautiful liquid. And the funny thing is, everything that we've drawn in all of the series that we do, it's 4 ingredients.
Yeah.
Right? And that's something I was trying to explain to my new staff the other day. I was like, this beer is made the same ingredients that's in a traditional lager or a wheat beer. It's just how you manipulate the ingredients, how you roast the malts, and how long you roast them for, and how dark they are when you pick them. Brings a different flavor and stuff, but it's same 4 ingredients. So when people say, I don't like dark beer, it's like, get over yourself.
Yeah. Well, it's
It's
because
no
you just haven't had
different.
enough of it.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
You haven't had the right
found
one.
your way in yet.
Yeah.
That's all.
So there is a good, beer's a great rabbit hole. If you find one you like, next thing you know, you'll be in trouble if you dig in deeper.
Goes forever.
Yeah.
When you sit down at even here, but when you go and sit down at a brewery, which are, you've got, if you're sitting at a bar in a brewery, you're dealing with people who are real serious
Yeah.
beer drinkers. And you always strike up, there's always a conversation. You've got that
That's-
common, and it's the same thing here. You sit
was
down at the
always-
bar here, and you've got that common, because that's the only reason why people are here.
Right.
Well, the pizza's pretty damn good. But
It was one of the magical things that when I started working here, and then I found out even before that, and have managed to reinforce since, is you sit down at the bar at a Barley's, and this place is a prime example of it. Sit down at the bar, and everyone is here to drink a good beer, and you're going to talk about it. You're going to talk about what you got, what they've got, and what it tastes like, and you're going to make friends.
And you're going to kibitz about it
You're
a
gonna-
little
You're gonna
bit.
kibitz.
There's going to be
You're
some.
gonna kibitz.
There's going to be a smidge of kibitzness
Right.
happening. I'm just saying.
Right.
so, Josh, the biggest little beer fest is when?
January 16th,
January 16th.
which you can always mark it on your calendar for this day ever forth. That's
Martin
Luther
King.
King Sunday. We give you Monday to recover. Well, Martin Luther King gave you Monday. I give you Beer Fest. So you have Monday to sleep in. No one has to work except for us in the restaurant industry.
Right.
And it's not really work when you're shit-faced.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Yeah.
We're here for you.
Yeah. Honest to God, it is one of the best things I have ever done in my life. And I've done it 3 or 4 times. I'm not going to say it's as good as sex. Although I can't remember. It might be as good as, I don't remember. But it is just an extraordinary, it's an extraordinary
Maybe that should be our catchphrase.
experience.
Biggest little beer fest.
Might
good
be
as-
as good as sex. I can't remember.
Not as good as Russ's sex.
Yeah.
Well, I used to have some pretty good, never mind.
We so yeah, we limit the tickets to about 250 people, which is about 75 people top to bottom. We talked earlier, we almost have as many beers as we do people attending. We have
That is a remarkable thing. It is not crowded. You're not standing in line for 10 minutes to get a beer. You're there, you get to talk to people who, if they're not the actual brewers, they're from the brewery. It's amazing. It's a great.
yeah, and tickets should go on sale in the next 2 weeks at barleysgville.com. We should have a link to it there. But it's 10th anniversary. We're really excited about it. We got some real interesting stuff coming out this year, so we're hoping to make it a blowout year, and we're excited after missing a year.
I'm on the edge of my seat,
Can't wait. That's my favorite day of the year.
boys.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Kibitz.
So
Bits.
damn lucky. Oh, see you next time.